Good evening, everybody. This is Tom Bodis on behalf of Mid American Auto Racing News, the Facebook page that I created to promote short track racing. Fans, I'm here at Johnny Hargraves' home here in Indianapolis, Indiana, with him and his son. And uh, please go to my page, Mid American Racing News, to see this interview tonight. I've already did an interview with Johnny's brother, Charlie Hargraves. So look for those interviews later tonight when I upload them. I'm going to start right now. So, uh, so Johnny's son, you tell them what your name is and what year you started racing, and just go from there. Tell everybody if you've won out there, if you won any features, just go ahead and introduce yourself. Take over.
I'm John Hargraves Jr., and I started in the middle of 2014, and so far I've gotten 19 feature wins out of the eight and a half, yeah, 8.5 years, two championships, and multiple top fives and tens.
Nice.
And I think I really started because I seen my mom and dad's side of the families. They all started racing, like my uncles and grandpas and all them. And my dad all started and all them. So I got wanted to start doing it as soon as I can. I started with big wheels when I was when I was born, and then I made my way up to the adult carts.
Oh, hold on. Speak up as loud as you don't have to yell, but as loud as you can without yelling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think I've tried everything I've gotten to prove what I can do, and some I think I've had 4 carts in the past 8.5 years. Every 2 years we changed it up to something new and really proven what we can do with our name and showing everybody that you can start anywhere in the field and finish off in the lead or your best.
What are your long-term goals in racing when you eventually go to a stock car? What stock car do you want to do? Outlaw figure eight, or do you want to do street stock first?
Um, I want to. I For now I want to do something with more power, like a stock car or a Ford, and then some way make my way up to the World Figure Eight cars and go around with all them and go around to new tracks. Because I've only raced Speedrome and I think was it Lapel one time before that got taken down, and I want to adventure to more tracks and meet new people and make more fans and friends and all that. And yeah.
Okay. So it depends on what Dad uh, decides to buy you, whether he'll buy you a Ford Crown Vic or go ahead and throw you into one of these bad boy late models here.
Yeah, it's really up to him. I'll go along whatever we can afford and whatever is up next for me.
That's awesome. And so, what grade are you in school now?
Um, I just went up to 10th. I was just in ninth and all that.
So you're a sophomore.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to give the fans a little bit of your history. Who are some of your uh curious? Who are some of your favorite drivers of speedrome that you grew up watching? Your heroes and idols of speedrome.
It's mostly my uncle Corey.
Corey Turner.
Yeah. And then some others like Bill and Bruce Tunney were some of mine. Jack Dawsey. Watching my dad down in Anderson when we were there, all 2012, and then all people that have not raced just speedrome, but like around like different type of cars, and like CJ Rayburn and Tony Stewart and all these people from Indiana that have made their names out in different divisions and all that.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the fans out there that you haven't met yet?
Come up if you're out at the track and you're in the pits. Come up and say hi or something, and we can talk a little bit.
Okay, sounds good. All right, Johnny. I'm gonna go ahead and let Johnny take over. Johnny, just go ahead and we'll just go ahead and do a short. Just tell the fans that didn't see the other video what year you started, what division, real quick, and then when was the first year you went into these cars, and just go ahead and take over from there. Take the floor.
I'm John Hargraves, senior. Started racing in '94, at the Indianapolis Speedrome. Had a street stocker my dad built. I raced street stocks '94, '95, '96, '97. I built a new car for the '98 season. They outlawed it before it ever got to the track, so we sold it and I built a modified. I ran modifieds from '98 till 2005. Won championship 2003. Kind of after 2003, I kind of took some time off and just traveled a little bit more instead of running speedrome only. I've been to Bearfield, I've been to Anderson, we went to Salem, IRP. Instead of doing the weekly racing, we just did just hit tracks that we wanted to race instead of trying to do a points racing system and stuff like that. Just wanted to travel a little bit. Realized the traveling was a little bit more expensive than what I had going, so I kind of got out of the modifieds. Got with his mom, let's say that. She became pregnant with him. So I kind of decided to park the car and kind of take some time off, hitting certain races here and there. Helped my brother Charlie. I started crew chiefing for him for a while. Well, actually, since he started racing. Then we went through the modifieds. I went to the modifieds with him. Then we built his figure eight car. We built a brand new figure eight car just as Johnny was born. So I took time off of me racing and dedicated myself to my brother and to my family. And for a while, I didn't run. So I took care of my brother, took care of my wife and kids and stuff like that. Didn't really have my own money and the backing of sponsors to put into me in racing. I want to say it was '08. I started driving a backup car for my brother as I was crew chiefing for him. We had a backup car sitting there. I never thought I'd get in a figure eight car. I worked on them, helped build them, do a lot of fabricating on them and all that stuff. Crew chiefed on them. Been around a lot of great guys that I've learned a lot of stuff from, and that's where my figure eight days was actually. I was good with that. And then we put Mike Riddle in our backup car for a couple times, and he ran it. We moved to Anderson for a show, and he wasn't able to make it. My dad told me to drive it, and I drove it, and I was kind of hooked since. It was a whole new, different thrill, rush, as everybody always said it was going to be. I ran for my dad, Charlie's backup car for a couple of years, probably a year and a half maybe. Then I was picked up by Steve Brown at S&B Auto Sales. Ran for him at the end of '09 and won race in 2010, and I quit. Actually had a good race, had a good car, had a good team. I'd actually quit racing, decided I didn't want to do it no more as a driver, and it wasn't a couple weeks later I got talked into buying a car off of Rodney Sizemore. My crew chief at the time, Chuck Rogers' best friend, he kind of talked me into buying this car. So we took some time off throughout the 2010 season and kind of built this car with the money we had. We didn't have the money just really to throw it together and stuff like that. When we brought it out to the 2011 season, ran decent. Probably my best year of figure eight racing, or one of my better years at that time. We we did some traveling. We went to Bowling Green, Kentucky, Beach Bend Speedway. We ran Anderson, um, Xenia, Ohio, I think it is.
That's Killcare Speedway.
Killcare Speedway. We went there and ran. Had some pretty good runs. Actually surprised myself that I could actually do it, I guess. I never thought that I would have. I was more of the oval racer. But to get out there and actually run figure eight and actually, I've watched it all my life and to watch the guys do things in the way they did them, then actually to apply it, In 2012, I won my very first figure eight at Anderson Speedway. Only two figure eights I've ever ran, or one was at Anderson. Won the championship for the regional championship from them. Beat my brother Charlie, which was kind of went down to our modified days in 2003 when I won the championship. Then I beat Charlie in the modified. Was first and second. He got Rookie of the Year in 03, and I won championship. And then 2012, I won the championship, and he got second. It kind of makes you feel, I guess, I'd say, helping Charlie for so many years and doing things together as a family, and to see him, the effort and try, win championships and stuff like that. And I come out and we battled for one, and I got the credit of winning it, obviously, and it was fun to do it again. From 2003 doing it in modifieds to doing it all over again in the figure eight cars, which I said I never thought that I would ever even have the opportunity, let alone win a figure eight, let alone win a championship in the figure eight. Granted, it was, I believe, it was 10 race deal that we did. And I had some heavy hitters that we had to race against. My brother Charlie was always good there. We had, Gary Bedell was in it. Eddie ran against us a couple of times. So that was probably the highlight of my career. One of my highlights of the career is just winning the figure eight championship. Just was, to me, and ever since then, I don't care about getting back in a race car again. I ran a couple of times. We took some time off after a bad crash in 2012. Me and my wife had our third kid right before my bad crash, and I realized what family really meant. As much as figure eight racing was cool, it was fun, but if you don't have the sponsors to do it, and it's hard to do by yourself, sponsorship wise or working on a car wise. So I've ran a handful of times since then, and I've parked it. I haven't seen my car in 3 years, due to having Chad's car here, me crew chiefing for Chad. It's a lot less stressful, I guess, in a way. I don't have to worry about beating my head against the wall if I make a mistake on the track. Now I just got to worry about making my mistake on the car and not giving him the car that he deserves to have. So hopefully, if everything goes good, we will be working on my car soon. We'll be getting it back out of Chad's garage and putting a driver in it that I got in mind. So I'll leave it at that. I got a driver that I want to put in it, and we'll see how that goes. So that's about where I'm at on my racing career.
Okay. I've got my list of questions here, and I'm going to ask you pretty much the same ones that I asked Charlie earlier today. I asked Charlie about the International Outlaw Figure Eight Series, and the other night when I had technical difficulties, I lost half of my video, and that a lot of the good parts were gone. I uploaded what little bit I had left. So, but if you had the money and money was no object on your own, and if you knew Charlie couldn't do it, but he kept telling you, man, Johnny, I want to restart the IOFS. I want it to be just like it was, but make it better. If you could get the sponsors and the financial backing, would you help, restart it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm always up to, well, it's something new or something old, and just rekindling it or whatever. Um, it's about having fun and making it fun for the drivers, making it fun for the crew. Just growing up as a kid and seeing how fun racing was as a kid, um, to seeing it now, just it's two totally different eras, obviously. But I'm always up to making it something better. If we can make it better, if we can do something different, um, make it where cars show up at the track. Yeah, I'm always up for helping anybody or any series, any class of cars for that instance. It doesn't matter what class of cars it is. If it's if they have to do it racing and it's an optional of making it better for everybody involved, I I'd help as much as I could. Absolutely, I'd do it. I think it would be cool. I really liked the ILFS deal.
Me too.
Not just because my brother owned it or whatever. It was just a fact of going to different tracks. Um, Not racing every weekend. Having that week off to where you can spend with family and spend with doing other things other than racing all the time. Cause it gets overwhelming. I mean, I grew up doing this all my life. Been around racetracks. When I went as a kid and we would race, they'd have Thursday Night Thunder with the midgets. My mom worked the pit office. My dad would be working the back pit gate, so we was at the track. And then Friday, my dad would race, and Saturday, my dad would race. And then sometimes we'd load up and go to Muncie on Sunday. So racing was constantly going. And now to look back on it, it was fun. It was a blast as a kid. But now to sit back as a dad and look at it and say, was it fun? Yeah. But was it fun for everybody in the family? And it's not so much. So, you got to kind of bring back, what does it make to have fun? What does it take for a guy to want to load up and go to the racetrack? Now you look like some guys, you look at it and they know when they go to the racetrack, the car's going to come back and possibly be tore up and wadded up and just, so sometimes it's not even fun loading up to go to the track. So it's kind of, you got to get back to the driver and what does it take to get the driver and the crew excited to, whether it's going track to track, different tracks. It was cool. I mean, going to Bowling Green, Kentucky at Beach Bend was a good time. It was good to do it because there was a family park right beside it. So you can camp out at the family park, go race on Saturday night, and spend all day Sunday at the family park. So, I mean, things like that, just going to different tracks, giving a different outlook on different tracks, and not racing every weekend. That's the biggest key thing to me, is not racing every weekend. So, yeah, I would definitely help with something like that.
Those photographs you showed me, I think there's one of them right over there on the table now, from Speedrome for over the years. Are those, just how valuable are those to you? If I came up to you with a wad full of money and say, I want to buy every one of those photographs, would you sell them to me, or are they priceless to you?
They're everything's for sale.
Oh.
So they mean a lot to me just by looking at it, because like everybody always says, a picture's worth 1,000 words. I mean, and looking at the history of what happened, I can show him, one thing I can say is, in 10 years, or say 20 years, if we don't take pictures off of our phone and download them and print them out at Walmart or CVS from a cat, he's going to have to show his kids pictures on his phone.
Right.
And when you change phones, you're going to lose those pictures if you don't put them on a cloud or something like that.
Put them on an SD card or something.
So, I mean, those pictures are they worth something? Yeah. I mean, they're worth just knowing you can look at it. And you can see one picture of, say, 3 different cars. Well, by the time you actually look at that picture, me and Charlie's really good about this, and some other historians, I guess you want to call them. Well, you can look at a picture and know what race it was, and know exactly what happened or what caused that or or whatnot. So it's kind of one of those, pictures are worth a lot, and especially some of the drivers that still hang around. at the track. Even though they might be older and they might not race no more, but I got pictures of them. And, and for me to show them pictures of that I got, it kind of makes them feel good because, why do I have a picture of them? Knowing that my dad raced and my brothers have raced. But yeah, I still got pictures of everybody else from the track. So yeah, I mean, I would get rid of. I would love to have. I would love to have people see the pictures I do have, and if they would want them. I mean, I told Kenny Rackley. It's been a while back. Kenny and Cody and Al Rackley and them guys. I told them that I had pictures of them when Kenny ran the street stocks and got into late models. And it's probably pictures they don't have. It just so happened I got them, and they're more than welcome to have them. Just so the family, they can show their kids and grandkids. Because like I said, 20 years from now, you're not going to have a scrapbook unless you make it and print out your own pictures. So it's always cool to have pictures to have around. And I got pictures over there that Chris Clark, which is Bob Clark's son, he's a big historian from the Speedrome. Got a shit ton of pictures. I've got pictures of Wayne and Kenny's cars that was taken from a fan in the stands, and they've never seen them until I started posting them on Facebook. They asked me, where did these pictures come from? We've never seen those, and they're 30, 40-year-old pictures. And I told them, well, it just so happened I got a scrapbook from a guy, and they happened to be in there. So then again, that's another story of, they looked at it, knew what race it was or what crash it was. But yeah, pictures are for sale. I mean, I'd always sell pictures. I'd give them away if it makes another family bond more, and understand what racing used to be compared to what it is now.
Okay. Well, we just have a special guest that just came in the door, Mr. Chad Sizemore. Sir, would you please grab your chair and sit right over there next to Johnny so we can add in what we missed last night? Because of my technical difficulties with my phone, I lost half of our interview last night.
Uh-oh.
You could move that broom. I don't know. Unless he's going to hit you with it. I don't know. I mean,
Could probably happen.
We'll give it to Bud since he's on clean sweep on the next weekend.
Okay. But Chad, go ahead and tell the fans that didn't see the video last night. Go ahead and introduce yourself and let them know how long you've been racing, what year it was you started racing at Speedrome, and when did you first get into one of these bad boys. Go ahead, take the floor.
I started racing in 2007, either 6 or 7, just in the Hornets, when I was still in high school, and I ended up doing pretty good in them for a while, and then my dad had a backup car from Steve Brown, and they let me kind of jump in it, and then I ended up with it for a little bit, and then I kind of teeter-totted it for a while because it didn't have the money to really do it and do it correctly, and went back at it around 2016, either 15 or 16, and as far as like full seasons, I think I've only ran 4 full seasons, and it costs a lot. But other than that, ran a few stock cars and raced fast carts. Raced just about everything.
He's kind of grinning over here when you said fast carts.
I was a participant. He lapped me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was a participant. He whooped my butt.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us that story from the beginning. How did that come about? Tell us the story.
Johnny had 2 of them. It was his backup car, and actually I was just kind of sitting in the trailer, and right before the heat race, he was like, "You want to go out and race it?" Well, yeah, I'll race a tricycle if it's fast enough. And
Even if it's not fast.
Even if it's not fast, as long as we can have some fun with it. And he got in it the week before, and I think ran second in it. like ran actually fairly good, and I got in it and couldn't hit ass from elbow, and I came in and I told him, I said, I'll give every one of them fast cart guys credit because you gotta be so precise each lap with them.
Yeah, I mean it's bumpier for them. They don't have any suspension underneath. Explain how rough it is out there, because I've heard since there's no suspension in the fast carts, that it really can beat your body up.
Yeah, there's none. I mean, your suspension is your air pressure basically, and I know every time I came in, my hands hurt, belly hurt because fat belly was jiggling around a little bit. But like I said, you gotta be precise. You feel every bump on the track. Heaven forbid if you hit one of them tombstones. I mean, it's gonna do some damage, but you're gonna feel it. Definitely knock your titty out of the belt, that's for sure.
Okay, so Johnny, I want you and Chad to educate the fans out there, because we lost the video on the start from when everybody ditched the Camaros and Firebirds, when Ellis and the Thomasac cars and the Audi Moose came in. I'm kind of explaining how they went from Camaros and Firebirds to the Audi Moose, what we've got now.
I think Joe Beaver and Bruce were the first ones that.
Well, back in the day, I know, like I said, when Dave Dayton and Steve Ellis was together, and that's when they had Dayton Enterprise. And they was kind of I guess you would say, kind of the King Kong of this era. There was other people up in Michigan that had cars that was building them. But like Kenny St. John and Wayne's cars, they was, back in the day, they was full-blown late models. And they was...
They were way beyond their time.
They was light years above everybody else, which they had a lot of sponsors. Wayne had Charlie Milam, which spent the money on him. Kenny had Emerton Brothers. I think Keith or something like that. So there were some other people that they put money into Kenny. You know what I'm saying? And they did what they had to do to win races. So they had the outlaw cars versus a Camaro. Well, then after so long, John Stiles put it into it, and he went to a stock chassis. We had to have a step clip car. Then Ron Thomasac, actually Court Thomasac, was building chassis. Their dad, he was like a big inspiration on things and doing things, and it was a lot more than just rails and a clip and stuff like that. He put time and effort into it. Bob Clark, Wayne Arnold, they came up with Ace race cars, which was there's Arnold, Clark, and Emery, which was Fred Emery, which built the motors. That was their little team. They built chassis. Was really good. Ernie Rich and Rich Brothers chassis, they built some chassis back in the day. They was more of your, a little bit more affordable chassis. It was kind of a knockoff, I'd say, of an Ace car, I believe. And then everybody just started having the stock clip cars. Like I said, Ellis and Dayton, they still stuck with it. They kind of had Bruce Tunney under their wing, I believe. And Bruce was kind of like their wingman and helped them design and build a figure eight car and stuff like that, and help people out before he ever started really doing his own thing. Bill Tunney helped him. I know Bill and Bruce have both ran Dayton cars and Ellis chassis for a long time. They was more so a left-handed side car, and they made it to a figure eight car instead of building a true centered figure eight car like these cars are now. And Audi Moose came in. He came through with Charlie Coles and American-made race cars, and from the day he's got into these things, he's never took a step back. He's always continuously going, and um, he learns, tries things, he does things, he builds his own spindles, he builds his own lower A-frame, he builds his own chassis. Um, he just continuously improves on what he does year to year. Um, and Bruce Tunney's branched off onto to TA chassis, um, which you see a Moose third turn / NASA car. They'll always be NASA cars to me. That's what I've always called them. They're two totally different race cars though. Then you got Sean Smith building chassis now out of Louisville. And then you got STD chassis or whatever it is that Doodle Ferris. So there's not a whole lot of chassis builders.
Who builds the T8s?
Bruce Tunney. Bruce Tunney builds TA chassis, and Bruce has, I said he's worked with Steve Ellis and Dave Dayton for years, doing his own thing and helping them guys. I think they both like helping each other out, doing things, learning things. And then Bruce went and built a Rayburn car with CJ to run on figure 8, and he learned a lot about the 4-bar setup, I believe, and all that stuff. And so then he kind of branched out and started building his own chassis. And I mean, they're top of the line. When you unload a TA car just as a Moose car, you've got a piece to work with. To the T of building the chassis, they're perfect. I've seen Bruce's work and Audie's work at the same time. They just don't weld bars together. They make sure that their product that they put out there is
A1.
They don't want to put themselves out there as a bad person or anything like that. So that's pretty much how it is. And then I said, these cars here. So I'd have to say, a lot of these cars nowadays, the main cage really hasn't changed. The 4-door bars, the uprights, and all that stuff. But the geometry on the front ends have changed. The geometries of the spindles and the lower A-frames. The mounting points of some cars have leaf springs. Some cars have 4 bars. Some cars only have a 3-link setup on them, which back in the day at Speedrome, everybody had to run leaf springs. I want to say it's about mid-'80s. John Stiles put on their figure 8 cars had to have leaf springs and a stock clip. Nowadays, if you can imagine it, build it, and bolt it on, you can run it pretty much. Bruce's cars are pretty much a certain style that he likes, and he builds them. All these cars, buying a Moose car, you can possibly get a couple different things. If you want a leaf spring car, if you want a bar car, they call it. I think he has the option depending on how much money you want to spend to get what you want.
Well, I posed a question earlier tonight in your brother, Charlie Hargraves, in his interview, and I think it's a tasty one your guys are going to like. The idea is I had an idea of having, maybe at the end of the racing season, maybe Speedrome, maybe this year could add one more date, find one more date in October, and let you guys run and call it the Tri 50s or Tri 25s. Okay. One of the features would be fully inverted. The second one could be half inverted. And then maybe like the third one could be start straight up, fast guy on the front. And you could change that up however you want to. I'm just giving an example. Could change it up. But then you have, that way you're giving the fans 3 different winners. You're giving the fans 3 different figure 8 races that night. And Charlie's idea was, he liked the idea. He said, why not let everybody use old tires, use used tires. It's at the end of the racing season. You guys' points are out of the way. Maybe we could go to Kevin Garrigus with this idea. because Charlie's fully on board with it, having this race. Where this way you guys would all be on the same tires and same level playing field. What do you think about that idea?
About 3 races, yeah. I think
Three.
it's good. I mean,
Three.
see, and I don't know if Charlie might have mentioned how they used to do it back in Charlestown years ago. So
Yeah.
so Charlestown did that deal with, whatever year it was, they did 3 races that way. And a lot of times the first race was they start heads up, fastest on the front row, and then they would invert the finishing order from the first race to the second race, and then I believe they would invert the third race from the finishing order from the second race. So there was always a method to the madness, I guess you'd say.
I think they should do heads up, do the invert, and then the last one do crewman race.
Crew chief race or whatever.
Oh, let the crew chiefs in and you guys step out.
Yeah, they did that a couple years ago. They tried to do a crew chief race, I believe, when Joe owned it, and I don't think it ever really. I think they had 5 or 6 crew guys that actually did it. Some of these drivers don't trust their crew members, and
Really?
Yeah, and I understand why.
Why do you say that? I mean, I see somebody like Josh. I mean, Josh Reidner. I would trust him to, I mean, right? Well, I don't know him like you guys know him.
After Saturday night in the school bus figure eight, you tell me how he does, and then we'll go from there.
Wow.
But no, Josh is a good guy. Don't get me wrong. But no, just some of the guys just.
Chad, you're smiling. Is there anything you want to add to that?
It's just one of these
Go ahead,
things,
Chad.
I trust Johnny.
It's one of these
okay.
things as you have to look at it as $50,000-$60,000 race car.
Right.
And some guys just.
My old lady's right there. No, it's 10.
It's good.
Yeah, you don't want her to know how much these things really cost. It was only $36.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, it's always.
Look at this.
You got to look at it to put people. You really got to trust somebody to put somebody in your car, especially if you got that kind of money in it. And I mean, some people do, some people don't. And Chad let me practice this car last year at Salem. It was different.
It was different.
I didn't fit in it as well as I probably do now. Actually, I drove it with no shoes because my feet didn't fit in the box. But a lot of guys don't know how to drive the Burt transmissions, the Falcon transmissions, on pushing the clutch in to go instead of laying out on the clutch. So that's a whole new different atmosphere and try to put a crew member in it. You know what I'm saying? So I think I'd put my crew member in it. He put me in his, and
I think Doug Gregg should let Charlie Potts.
Yeah. Charlie Potts should drive Doug's car.
Pete Barrett could put his dad in it.
Or his brother, Chris.
So you're talking about the crew chief race again, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think it'd be a pretty cool deal.
I like to see old man Riddle.
Yeah, put Mike Riddle Sr. in either one of the Riddle boys' cars. And Charlie can put Jamie in his car. They had to put some foot extensions in there for him.
Booster seat.
Josh could drive
booster
Ben's car.
seat.
I'd say Roy Morello drive Mark Tunney's car.
Big booster seat.
You can go on and on. I think it would be pretty cool to do that, but it's just then again, it's getting the drivers and the crew to mend. But then you're going to have crew members that have experience driving the car, and then some crew members that don't have experience. So then but it's still going to be, it'll still venture out.
Well, if you got experience, start
to tell.
Yeah. Trying to think who'd be entertaining as a crew member. I'd say put Donna Van Meter in Eddie's.
Put Audie in Eddie's. That would be...
Yeah.
And that would give Audie some experience. Audie has... I think Audie ran a Hornet and maybe a Roadrunner just for shits and giggles. But I don't think... Audie's never ran a figure eight car. He's never drove one, and for him to be have the knowledge that he does and the capability of things he does to a race car without even driving one is hands down. I mean, it says a lot for the guy.
I think the only person you could really compare driver and knowledge wise to Audi is probably Ben.
Yeah, Ben, but Ben.
His side things.
Yeah, Ben knows about the cars and what to do and all that stuff. But I think when it comes down to a lot of the geometry, I mean, Audie's just hands down just good. I mean, he does some crazy things in his head and he builds it. So, I mean, but Ben's awesome. I mean, you'll never take anything away from Ben.
Not even a French fry anymore.
Not even a French fry.
Do you guys consider Audie Moose to be like kind of like the grandfather, like in the pit area, like that everybody looks up to? Or it sounds like he has so much respect out there. Is it because of how well his chassis have performed out there on the track? I mean, does he pull money out of his own pocket and give it to you guys if you need something? Oh, he's not like...
No, Audie don't... He won't... I know Audie pretty well. He won't give you money. But if you buy his stuff, like I said the other night, as part of our comment, if you buy an Audie Moose car, you buy experience. You buy him to a point. Obviously, he's not going to tell you everything like him crew chiefing on Eddie's car. You're not going to get the exact measurements or numbers off Eddie's car because that's his doings. But if you buy a third turn car and they're off the same jig, they're all the same, and but Audie just he as long as you listen to him, same as Bruce Tunney and pretty much any other chassis builder, as long as you listen to what they tell you to do, they'll work with you.
They'll put you in the ballpark, and then
they'll get you close. I mean, they'll lead you right to the water. It's like taking a horse to water and making it drink. He'll get you going in that right direction. Then at a certain point, he's got to kind of like start fading off of giving you information. Not that he's gonna lie to you or turn away from you, but he's very good at I've taught you enough. Now,
so he wants you guys to figure the rest out on your own.
Some. And he's actually...
Well, it's the fact of the matter, too. You're going against... I mean, just... It is what it is. Eddie is his driver. And he's going to get you close enough to Eddie, but then the rest is on you. Because he ain't going to want to work harder than what he has to. He'll get you there. He'll get you in the ballpark. He'll get you within a turn or a click or two, or an inch or two on ride height, and then it's up to you to, adjust the feel. Because if you're truthfully listening to him, you're gonna know the next move you need to do anyways. It ain't nothing against anybody. It's just if he's working on my car and also a chassis builder, I'm not gonna want him to make somebody else quicker than I am. And it's a knowledge thing.
And Audie's also one of the guys too. If he feels that you're doing something and you pick up on something on one of his chassis, he might come over and ask you, hey, he's not that guy that's going to be always thinks he's above you. He'll come. If you've done something, he'll come. He goes, hey, I tell him what I've tried. Hey, I tried this and it worked. And
he'll do the same with us. Hey, we're thinking about trying this. And he'll tell you that no, I wouldn't. We tried it. It's not worth it. Mm-hmm. Or he'll say you might like it. I liked what it did, but my driver didn't. That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, he's there. You buy one of his chassis, you got him pretty much. Just like I said, you buy a TA car, you got Bruce. Sean Smith, you got Sean Smith. So.
And Sean Smith has came out of the woodwork.
Yeah. Audie's built a shit ton of cars. He's probably built, I would have to say he's probably built more cars for that racetrack
than anyone.
than anybody has.
Wow.
I mean,
Him and Doug.
Doug's built some, but Audi has built, through the 2000s. Audi really built a lot of chassis. Then like now with third turn, that's an Audi Moose car. I don't care if they call it third turn car or what they call it. It's an Audi Moose car to me. He designed it. He came up with it. He built the jig. He built the fixtures. It's his car. I mean, just so happens he works 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week for Kevin at third turn. But at the end of the day, you look at it. Audi built that. Audi designed that. He's got guys that work over with him now that work on him too. But the initial design of the chassis was Audi's. So every chassis to me that gets built is an Audi Moose car. And Audi's built so many. I don't think I've ever really seen a bad Moose car. I mean, I've seen guys buy chassis thinking that the chassis was everything. They didn't buy the right parts to put on that chassis. And then when they struggled, they thought it was a chassis. Well, come to find out, no, they bolted the wrong parts on that chassis. When Audi builds these cars, he builds them for his spindles and his lower A-frames. Yeah, you can go buy parts off the shelf and put on them, but it's not going to be the same. And then when you go to him, you say, "Hey man, I got this car. I got one of your chassis, and it's not turning right. It's not rotating through the corners right." And he's trying to explain to you what to do to it. Well, then come to find out, you don't even have his parts on the car, so he really can't tell you what to do if you don't have his parts on the car. So,
No, it did good enough. We ended up letting Bub turn some laps in the rain on Friday
did
night.
good. Yeah. It's got a little sketchy sometimes.
So, Chad, let's talk about the aftermath. We don't have to be negative, but the aftermath of Saturday night. When I seen you get out of your car after what happened, you were sitting at the edge on the front clip just looking all dejected and everything. I mean, I was pulling for you to win that race, and I was just like shocked, at how it ended. But now that you've had more time to look back on it, even though you didn't win, how do you feel about the race now? I mean, you got more experience under your belt. I have a feeling that when you get out there in the Jake's 150, I have a feeling you're going to win it. I mean, because every time you guys get out there, the more you do something, the better you get. I don't care what it is. So tell me what you think now, days later, about Saturday night.
It still hurts because you watch. I mean, we find I hate to say this, we're the group that will go to a funeral and find something funny. It's just the way we are, and I prayed to have three things happen. One, for the car and everyone on the track come home safe. Check. I mean, a couple here and there panels, but we didn't beat that out. Two, for a good strong run. That was a check, and three, obviously to win the race. So 2 out of 3, ain't too bad. So I can't be too upset. And as far as you had a lot of good, you probably had 4 cars that are junk that needs clipped.
Yeah. Oh, from Saturday night?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I had 2 that happened, I mean, just dead in front of me.
Would that be Austin Tunney's car?
Austin's one of them, but I wasn't. I think as Austin was coming through the crossover, I was either through the center or coming off. I mean, I was fairly close, but not that close. Troy Hughes. I got on the brake. He didn't. I forget who he. I think the 12.
White.
Yep, Brandon White. I shouldn't remember, or I should remember his name. He clobbered him, racing deal, nothing on purpose. And then there was one more that happened that caught me off guard. And but you got at least 4 cars that they're going to have to pull a motor out. They're going to have, you know, they're going to be struggling to make the next race. And but as far as the sting is still there, that'll probably be a race that I won't forget. Um, the money is one of it. We can all say we don't do it for the money. BS. I mean, that money would have really went. Everything we make, we put right back into the car. Might buy some beers afterwards, but other than that, it goes back into the car. And, but as far as how close we came in the purse, we unloaded. I think we were fast time in the first practice, and then we fell what, fifth,
fourth or fifth, up and down because of you and Austin were right.
Yeah. So we were within the top 5. I mean, just straight off the trailer. And honestly, I don't even think we put a round in the car or took a round out. We put a click here and there on the shocks. So that's a good night. That is a real good night. I was disappointed. I ain't gonna lie, I was in tears when I was on the front of the car. Just because the way I won my first 1 hour. I was running second. Mark dominated the 1 hour. Mark came around to actually lap us, but instead he chose the road. Or just ride there. And there's a small pileup. I took a door hit, but everybody else behind me stacked up, calls Mark to come to a stop. And that's how he lost the lead. And me and Ben battled it out for 32 seconds left, 32 seconds remaining, and a lot of people just sit back and say, well, you kind of lucked into that one. Well, we started 19th. Mark and Ben started pole. We had to work our way up, so I may have lucked into it a little bit, but I earned it. This one was a flat out. Came from 14th. I sucked for qualifying. My curse is 14th, 15th. We just can't get out of that ballpark, but I can work my way up to the lead and everything, and then, lap car kind of just wrong place, wrong time with Buddy Virtues. Nothing intentional, just it happened. I'm still sore, not sore like as mad as at Buddy, but just sore like, man, we came so close. My car, I was having carburetor issues, so I couldn't get all the way off the throttle. When I would get off the throttle to an extent, my power steering would really act funny. So just a mixture of things, and then to come that close and to lose it on something that wasn't your fault sucked. To lose it on something that is just, your fault is a different story. But going into the Jake's 150, we feel like we got a strong car. They can have all them other races. I went to 3 hour. I like to win that for, Johnny and my dad and me, my crew. And winning races like that put your crew on a pedestal too. I mean, we always shine in the big races, but it still stings just as bad. So I know I'm talking in circles in it because I still haven't wrapped my head around it all the way. But we could have been down there. There's a lot of people that flat look like assholes every single week because they want to cry and moan about something, but we're just not that crew, and I'm not that driver. We're going to take the good with the bad and the bad with the good, and we're going to have fun with it one way or another. We spend too much money not to have fun with it. And, I hate to say it, other than him saying, Bub, I'm sorry, I don't know what to say. I think his second word was, "You're the only person that can show me how to go from 10,000 to 2,000 that quick."
Wow.
Right off the bat.
Did he really say that?
Yeah.
Was this like in the pit area? Like
No, this was on the track.
you said that on the track to him? Wow.
Just because, I mean,
It was an icebreaker.
You've got to look at it one way. What are you going to do about the situation?
Yeah, did we go back there and look like buttholes?
We had a couple crew members, for instance. You know, we had a couple crew members that was kind of a little heated about the whole ordeal. I was a little upset myself too. What are you going to do? You get you a case of beer and you drink it away, or you go down there and fight and get you a case of going to jail. You look at it two different ways.
No, they stopped giving you a case before you go.
Oh, so I mean, you just got to look at, you know, you walk through the pits as we was walking through the pits to go to the tech out on the track. You know, yeah, we're bummed because we ran fourth. We had a car that was leading when the time expired. You know, I think that's probably, I would have to say, I think that's probably the only race I've ever known that a car that was leading the race when time expired didn't win the race going across the line.
Didn't even finish second.
Yeah. So, but we're walking through the pits, you know, and we're walking through the pit lane to go to tech, and you know, so some of the crew members are a little hot-headed and stuff like that, and they're upset, and I understand that. But as you're walking through the pits, you look over and you see cars that's destroyed. You see cars that, you know, needs a clip put on them, needs stuff done on them. Well, that could have been us. You know, but at the same time, we came out with a whole different kind of car than he had ran all last year. The car's totally different than what we had.
We ran, and we almost conquered.
Yeah, I mean, we did everything.
We did everything we were supposed to.
Yeah, it hurt to go from first to fourth, but I look at it as we went from 14th to first. We ended up running fourth, but we made gains. You know, I mean, you get started first and run 14th, or it's vice versa. However you look at it. So to me, you always got to look at the positive side of it, and what do you do? Beat yourself up all night? You know that happened. Yeah, it hurts. I mean, he beats himself up. I look at it as a crew chief point. You know, sitting there looking at it, and I try to explain to the guys. You know, they're sitting there beside me, and they're grabbing my arm, and you know, we got this. You know, he did exactly what he had to do to back Hadley down. To protect that line. You know, he did everything that he could do, and they're all like. The crew sitting there, you know, they're pumping me up and stuff, and I'm sitting there straight face and just glued to his car. I told him, I said, it's not over. Until that checker flag comes out, I don't care what's going on, it's not over. And I'm grabbing him, kind of calm him down, and then everything happened. And then all of a sudden, they're mad, and I'm still sitting there with the same old look on my face, like, guys, I told you, it's not over.
Well, it's just like the 1 hour when we won it. I came over to the fence, and he was... use your head. And I'm like, just calm down a minute.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes he calms me down. Sometimes I got to calm him down. And I mean, just so I had a strong enough car, Mark and Ben never really fall off. They're usually, they're there in the beginning, they're there in qualifying and start and then the finish. That's why they get the results they do. And just for fun, I can't remember if it was Ben or Mark. Now, I know I did it to Ronnie.
When he waved or whatever?
Yeah. Going down the chute, I timed it where I when I say hit, I don't mean knock somebody out of the way, just run up and give them a tap. I purposely put my hand out the window, waved. It was either at Ben or Mark.
I think it was Mark.
Was it? And I seen them look in the mirror, and they shook their heads. I know they were laughing, you know. But that, to me, that was having fun with the situation. There's a picture of me where the photographer's taking a picture. I got, you know, my hand out the window making jokes about it. I mean, it's just, it's who we are. And to me, to calm the crew down, to be like, oh, he's holding back. I ran up there and gave one of them a love tap. I waved at him. Now, Ronnie was really good at the far end, which I wasn't, but I was really good at the pit turn, which he wasn't. So I'd run up there and make a run, and I'd purposely back off because I knew he would drive the car harder. Well, just for fun, we've all done it, so nobody, you know, Ronnie don't take offense to it. Went down to shoot, gave him a little up tap, waved at him. And that to me was, try getting Ronnie's head and have him overshoot a corner, because Ronnie is held to pass. If he's on the lead lap or if he's leading, you're going to earn that spot. And he don't lay down for nobody. So your best bet is to try to, rattle his cage a little bit and get him to overshoot. And but he just kind of fell off, and we were just staying stronger and stronger. But it's all about having fun and staying calm. So it's just one of them ordeals, and we're going to have fun with it. Hell, we've seen Bobby Dalfett. Bobby Dalfett won a 3-hour. It paid $25,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
$25,000, and I haven't seen Bobby. Well, I seen him the night of the 1 hour, but he says, hey Bobby, Chad, this is 25. This is 2.
Yeah,
because he won 25,000. I won 2,000.
You're kidding.
I'm on him. I don't mean anything bad about it. When I come to him about it, but you got to make a joke out of it.
I'm the driver that almost could.
Yeah, I mean, because you've got to do it, because if you sit here and you eat yourself up about it,
you'll hate it.
You can. One thing about life, I will say that you can only control so much. You can control your feelings. So do you let them control you, or do you control your feelings? I know he was hurt. I know he was upset when I walked on track. I'll be a man enough to say, was there a tear in my eye because I know what he's going through as a driver sitting there? Yeah, I know what we put into this thing. I know what we got in our, as our backing, in his pocket, as in my pocket, and I know what comes out of this garage. And to see that we was so close,
Two people that hate to say this, they're a phone call away from getting what they want. Yeah. And if me and him can't come up with it,
we figure out something else.
I hate to say it, that's the two sponsors right there. And my lady, she'll help.
She cooks every once in a while now.
Yeah. Every once in a while?
Yeah.
Starve in between just a little bit.
And you can see we're starving over here.
Yeah.
But, so it's always got to be a fact of control what you can control and make jokes of it. Sunday we got up Sunday morning, we went to the 500, and the whole way there we was in the car, and
160 feet.
$160 per foot is what we figured up he lost from the time he spun out until the finish line.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
you actually did the math on that.
Yes. That's just part of what we did. You got to make life up. You got to.
Yeah.
It sucks. You can't go back and replay it. You can't go. He can look at it now and say, "Man, what if I did this?" Well, you can't do that. You can't. That's not a second option, And so you got to look at it saying, "It happened. Here it is. We got to accept it, and we got to go on about it and do it." Because believe me, if I could go back and tell him, "Hey, let's rewind this race and go back and do it again," something else could have came up. There's always that one thing, and so we look at it, and we could have came home with the clip knocked off of it. We could have just sucked. We could have started 14th and been lapped by 5 minutes into the race. There's so many different variables, but to look at it and say, we showed up Friday night. We hadn't been in a race car all year. We literally finished the car up Friday afternoon. We loaded it up with new things on it that me and him had discussed about doing. I had my reasoning, he had his reasoning, and we knew we had nothing to lose. We had nothing to lose. So we go to the track and we just like, here we are. And we unload, and the car actually performed better than I thought it was. When we tested Friday, and he come in, he's like, really don't have nothing to complain about. Well, then okay, then it's not perfect. So then we started clicking things. We started just doing clicks on the shocks and sending him out there for another 10 laps and come in, and then we got to a point to say, okay, now we're done for the night. We feel good enough. We feel, even though we weren't really getting no lap times because race monitor wasn't hooked up, but we watched Ben practice and just kind of compared, Ben's times and stuff like that to what we could. We came out Saturday and we unloaded and we was comfortable. We was there. We wasn't thrashing. We wasn't. We didn't. We was just comfortable to go there. And then in practice, we was good. He'd come in and he's like, I really don't. We'd do another click here and there. We did adjustment here and adjustment there, but never really. We didn't have to thrash on the car. It wasn't like we was struggling. And last year we struggled with it. Last year we struggled. I mean, he'd come in and me and him would talk, and I was like, okay, so we'd make a change. And then he'd go out, and the change I made didn't even change anything. And for some reason, I don't know why that was, and he comes in, and well, I can't tell the difference.
One night we went from a very light spring to a spring that is honestly not heard of running unless you're running
Bristol.
Yeah, and the car didn't pick up, car didn't fall off. I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. Only reason why I knew is I was helping changing them. But we wanted to try a few things we actually wanted to try it last year, but it was one of the things, we'll wait on that. Actually, a month ago, we decided to tear the rear end down and go to it, and boy, I wish we would have done it sooner, but I guess we saved the best for last. Like he said, to come out, we didn't turn no laps. My third lap out, and everybody else has raced all year. We were sitting fast time, and then we shuffle back, fourth, fifth. And then to run the race the way we did, and there's a small issue like with my power steering, and we can't keep the car running. If I was to lift all the way off the throttle, the car would just shut off. So I would constantly have to feather the gas enough to keep the car alive, but also not shutting off. Well, same thing, but if you stay in the throttle and you get on the brake, you run so much front brake in these cars, you'll shove it to the wall. That's why I hate to say this, but you'll see cars really throwing it into the corner for a qualifying lap, and there's so much front brake that you're hitting the wall because your front is locked up. But I think we got a strong piece. I think we got a solid top 5 car, and now it's a matter of just tuning it. I want to get at least a win or two. I've won 50 lappers. I want to add more big wins. And then hell, after 3 hours, we might turn Bub loose in it, let him run a race or two. We're just all about fun, just overall.
Is fourth the best you've finished in the 90-minute or the 1 hour?
No, I've won it.
We won a 1 hour 2019.
You won the 1 hour in 2019. Okay.
That was when Mark dominated. We discussed that the other day a little bit. That Mark dominated the race, and with 32 seconds left to go, he kind of got caught up in a caution or in a wreck that he wasn't even involved in. He just so happened to stop to avoid from crashing.
He was just trying to dodge it.
And they considered him a red flag penalty car, so they put him to the tail with 32 seconds to go, and he had dominated the race. It was his race. There was nobody going to touch him, and it just so happened that he was smart enough to see this crash happen and woed up, installed the car to keep from crashing, and they considered flagged him as a red flag car, so they sent him to the tail. So that's why we said with that one we lucked into. We had a decent car, don't get me wrong, but we didn't have a Mark Tunney car that night, and so we lucked into that one in a way. So this year we lucked out of it, I guess, however you want to say it. So I mean,
what's the old saying? You lose them how you get them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a prime example.
Yeah, well, we won and we've lost them the same way, and that's
Yeah.
It's kind of like what Tori Styles says: "The crossover giveth, and the crossover taketh away." That's what I think of when you tell me this story of,
absolutely.
you know, the race being taken away from Mark, right?
Yep. 32
And
seconds.
given to just because you happen to be in second, right?
No,
At
we
the
was
end.
actually
Yeah, we were second.
Yeah,
fourth.
No,
I thought we was third or fourth when that
No, we
happened.
were second.
I don't know. I thought we. Anyways, I mean, it's just still 32 seconds. It's 32 seconds. You know, and you know, so I mean, he lost. I don't think it paid 10 grand. Then I think it was only 5.
Yeah, it was fine.
So I mean, yeah.
They the next year he upped it to 10. Kevin still owes me back pay on that. I'm still waiting.
Wow.
But yeah, so I mean, it always comes out. You know, you look at it, and that's why I say I don't. If it would have been a different situation Saturday night, and like I said, if it would have, I felt it would have been an on-purpose deal or something like that, or just. But you know, when it happened,
If it would have been on purpose, they would have still been
Yeah.
putting up. They would have still been putting out the fire.
I see. You know, I knew it was Buddy, and Buddy's not that driver. Buddy's not that guy to do something like that. So that's why I grabbed a hold of a couple of our crew members and told them, I said, you know, you guys just need to calm down. I mean, Buddy's not going to do that. Buddy, a lot of times, Buddy would be the one to would probably damn near crash himself to get out of your way. And just what happened that the leaders called him at the wrong time, and he didn't see him. And the outcome is the outcome. You know, you still shake hands at the end of the night.
Well, we actually walked over, and I told him, I said I want to walk over to Buddy, but I only want it to be us. I don't want it to be the whole crew. And as soon as I walked over to Buddy put his jaw out there. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Hit it, 'cause I would." And Buddy's raced against my dad, and my dad has never said a bad word about Buddy or anything like that. Now, Buddy can be an aggressive driver, but he's not that driver. And Buddy explained to me, he said, "Chad, I just didn't know you was there." And sometimes when you get caught up in running, the scoreboard only shows top 3.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody else, I hate to say this, you kind of know who you're racing with and what positions or what. But also at the same time, our race, sometimes you just get wrapped up in who you're racing against. And I truly think that's what happened with Buddy is him and Corey were racing each other. Corey had a suspension part that broke, so he was coasting. And he allowed Jesse to get underneath me and Hadley both. But like Corey said, if I knew you were there, I would have damn near stopped and just let you guys go. It was just unfortunate, and when I came off the corner, Jesse was on the outside of me. I was worried about Jesse. I knew Michael was somewhere, but I was trying to give Michael enough room where I didn't run him into the tire, because Michael didn't race me rough. He didn't beat and bang on me, so I'm not going to park him in the tire, and I'm not going to run Jesse to the hot dog stand because he didn't do nothing. And when we came off the corner, Buddy was just there, and where I hit him, his bumper just hooked me. And I wasn't hitting him to wreck him. I was hitting him honestly. Well, no, once we got straight,
Pushing.
I figured if I pushed Buddy hard enough, Buddy would he's going to pick a lane to spin in. Or he was going to meet Elvis or Jesus, one of the two. But it was nothing intentional. Buddy was just in the right spot for Jesse, the wrong spot for me. But at the same time, Buddy was damn near in tears. Explained he didn't know I was there. Like he said, Chad, if like he said, I'll wreck my car to give that win back to you, because I'm beating myself up on it. Buddy's car owner messaged us the next day and apologized if you guys need anything for me to make it right.
We're still waiting on that check in the mail.
He's good for it though. He said, "I got you. Or if you need anything, come down and get it." And Murray, he's a man of his word, and like Buddy said, I don't know how I can give it back, but I owe you one. So we might buy us Roadhouse or something for 3 hours.
Coors Light. Coors Light. That's all we're saying.
So I have a question. What's your name?
Donna.
Huh?
Donna.
Donna. So I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say this, Donna. Yeah, let Donna go over there.
No,
'Cause
no, no. I don't have
please.
my eyebrows on. I
Just
can't.
for 10 minutes.
No, no,
Give
no,
me
no.
10
I can't.
No,
She won't do
I'm
it.
gonna embarrass you. That's fine.
I got a Sharpie.
Come on.
10 minutes, Donna,
Come on.
please.
No.
The fans need to meet you.
Come on.
Listen, look, you may be the future
Come
Mrs.
on.
Chad Sizemore.
Please don't wish that on
What?
me.
Wait. Think about this. This moment, this is being recorded, Donna. You could end up, you're on camera now. The world could see you.
Come on.
You may end up being Mrs. Chad Sizemore. And she's not listening to me.
She don't listen.
But
Come
Donna,
on.
no, in all seriousness, Donna, the night when they took that win away from Mark, and the first time he seen you, did you walk out on the track, go out on the track that night?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you went up to him, to Chad, replay what he said to you, his first words getting out of the car, replay for the fans what you said to her after winning that race.
We're going home making babies.
Oh my God.
No, actually.
Go ahead.
All right.
Thank you, Donna.
Donnie Murphy is her uncle.
Okay.
Or her niece and nephew. I count as my niece and nephew. We do a lot with them. Same with Buck. We actually were joking about going to Disney if I won. And somehow they ran up in the trailer. And when they ran up in the trailer, they said, Chad, if you win Disney, would you take me and the kids to Disney? I know. Yeah, sure. Now, I had a feeling, we was going to run good, but not that good. They thought it was, for giggles. Well, when I got spun, Peyton, Donnie's daughter, there's actually a video she keeps looking up at the board. How'd she say it? Oh, you don't want me. You don't want me. You don't want to do it. Well,
You have to quote Brittany.
Donnie's wife. When I spun and we went across the line, Peyton sat back and said, "Mom, you got to do something." Chad got robbed. Is that what cheated? And Peyton's what? 9 years old, and so before she comes on the track, do you want to tell them what you did?
Please do. The fans want to know, Donna. Come on, Donna, please.
You can do it.
No.
Please,
Oh
Donna.
my God.
You
Please.
want to tell
This is going to be a feather in Chad's cap, you doing this for
it?
him.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I might have been one of the crew members that Johnny said was getting very rowdy.
And
What?
And
did you go off on any certain drivers?
No.
Can you look? Can you put that on the Bible?
I was angry. I saw that, we work really hard on the car. He's in the garage with Johnny every night. They're here. So, yeah, our emotions did get the best of us. Got the best of me. Johnny was, you just see me running in the pits, jumping in front of his car.
buddies.
I didn't do anything to his car. I was just so mad. I really don't even know what I was
Doing.
Yeah.
She wanted to go to Disney.
She wanted to go to Disney. Damn it, buddy. You took Disney from the kids. She may or may not have flipped them off. But good sportsmanship. Just telling them.
Yeah, 5 minutes later, it was all said and done. She calmed down, realized it didn't matter if Chad won or not. He wouldn't take her to Disney.
wow.
We need a parts for the race car. We got races coming up.
Right.
We got. Yeah.
let me stop you. They usually say "damn it, Doodle." So in place of that, did you all say "damn it, buddy"? All of you
We like
at one
to say,
time.
"Damn it, Doodle." We have a dog that we
Yeah, they got a dog.
that we have a "Damn it, Doodle" Doodle. So we like Doodle. We're not mad at him. He didn't cost us our Disney trip, so we're okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But, yeah, I mean, a lot of people said, a lot of crew, you know, they had some choice words for Buddy, but you know, that's when I look at him and it's like, guys, you just can't do that. You can't. You just you gotta learn how to respect. You gotta learn, you know, you're not gonna win them all. You know, you're gonna have your good days and your bad days. You know, if we won, we'd been on cloud 9. If we lost, you know, obviously we was there.
We had plenty of beer to feel like we were on cloud.
Yeah, I mean, we win or lose, we was boozing, and that's what we always said. You know, it's gonna happen. And now it just gives us. My biggest thing at the end of the night is we was there. We had the capability of doing it. So for us to come out right off the trailer and just be there, to me was a win in my situation. You know, we come in, I look at the car, and I mean another $300 rear bumper, but you know,
$150 side rail.
yeah, $150 rub rail. So it's just looking at it as, you know, you can get mad, people get mad, people get upset. It's gonna be talked about probably from now to the 3 hour, if not later. You know.
Oh yeah, at least until the Jake Swift 50.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's not like it wasn't Chad's fault. It was just a racing deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had it. I've seen it.
Look how many times they talk about the Mark situation.
Yeah.
Now, you know,
Like the 3 hour when Mark, Tunney, and Chris Harmon got into it, and they kicked Harmon off the track, and Danny Smith was running third, 4 or 5 laps down, and it wins the 3 hour. You know, it's just so many different scenarios you can look at.
third place won that one too. We need to be third.
Yeah.
Donna, I got a question. Sorry to interrupt, Donna, real quick. Just think if Chad would have won that race, he might have been so messed up, not knowing what he's saying,
Fell asleep.
what he's thinking about in his head. He might have jumped out of that car being so happy, not really thinking it through. He might have said, "Donna, will you marry me?"
I'd have kicked him.
Would you have kicked him for real?
No way. I love Donna to death, but no.
Okay.
Marriage is a
We're
bad
gonna win
situation.
a lottery before that happens.
Uh-oh. That just went over the air. No.
As your dad would say, got a pocket full of money. Come on, boys.
It's time to run.
Oh,
It's time to run.
Oh.
No, I was looking at the Disney trip, you know, but the getting married kind of, she'd have been happy. But I'd have supported it. If these 2 little kids want to get married, then she just have to wait till an off weekend of racing. And
Hopefully Ben will be when you go out there when Ben wins and propose to me.
no, why is it got to be when Ben wins?
Wow.
Cause that fucker always wins. Oh, wait, can I cuss?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Oh, okay.
Now for the Jake's 150, do you guys already have tires for that?
No, you're not allowed to buy tires until later.
The day of the race.
Yep.
Oh.
And is it a 2-tire deal still?
I think it's 4 tires that's over 100 laps, I think. Anyways, anybody would like to buy tires, feel free to contact us.
Go ahead and give your phone numbers.
I ain't giving my phone number.
Well,
we take cash, card, EBT,
EBT.
cereal, you know, anything that helps.
Yeah,
We-
blueberries. Blueberries and cat.
We are an underfunded team. If it's not coming out of my pocket, it's coming out of his. And, you know, that's why I said on Facebook, I hope that puts a lot of eyes at us. Because, you know, we are a good team. We're a good solid. But at the end of the day, if, you know, people want to see other people run with Mark and Ben and them, and I hate to say this, you got to spend the money just like them. I spent, I think, $1,200 just on tires. You know, that's a good chunk. Them tires only good for practice now. They're not good for the race. And
explain that? Why is that?
The newer the rubber, or the more rubber's on the tire, the better the tire is. it's just the tire gets wore out. But I mean, just to change oil, that's change oil and do your little tune up. You're looking at another $200 and two 300 just on fuel and I mean, just for us to go back for the Jake's 150 before the feature, it's gonna be do it right, and me and him are in the same boat on this. If it ain't right, we just don't want to do it.
Yeah, we've done enough wrongs.
Yeah.
I won't do it no more.
Yeah. At least we have our eyebrows on.
But we have our eyebrows on. So we did that right. We won $2,000 the other night. We probably spent $2,000 to go to the racetrack to race. So and
breaking even's good though.
Yeah, I mean, in a way you think you broke even, but then you come home and look at the damages on the car. It's not horrible. It's drivable and stuff, but so sometimes what it takes to go do it is a little rough. If you don't finish, in the top 4 or 5, especially on a big race, and that's why they're getting a lot of guys that's running only big races. Such as Hadley came out for a big race, and that's why they had 33 cars.
He was another one that hasn't ran all year.
Hadley, that's the first time Hadley's been out. So I mean, it was good to see guys that.
Pete ran once or twice.
Pete Bear, I think, ran once. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys, but for Hadley to come right out of the box, which Hadley's going to be good no matter what. I mean, it doesn't matter if he sits out for 2 years.
He's got the natural talent.
I mean, I raced against him when he was 14 and modified. I mean, I watched the kid grow up. I mean, him and a kid that I helped raise, in a past relationship was best friends. So Mike would sit at my house and Zach would go to. So I mean, I've watched Mike drive quarter midgets starting up. He's just naturally talented, and he's another one that's smart on the books and in geometry and studies things and understands things. The biggest thing is you got to understand how it works, and Mike's always done that. And for Mike to come out, I knew he was going to be strong. A lot of people are like, oh, he hasn't raced and blah blah. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I said, it's like riding a bike. Once you get knocked off, you get back up and get back on it. And Mike ain't one to. He ain't no dummy. It's when you see that car show up the track, it's there for business. He didn't come to run second.
But he's one you don't got to worry about rooting you.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a. Saturday night we talked after the races. Me and Michael and I told him, he had a good run, and he said the same thing about us and all that stuff. And he goes, Chad knew that I wasn't gonna rough him up, but so Chad backed his car pretty much to where Michael was, and knew what line to take to keep Michael from making his moves. And Michael said he had a point to prove Saturday night, and he proved it. We had a kind of a point to prove without being arrogant and all that stuff, and we kind of proved it also. So it was all good, and for them two to come right out of the box and be good.
And he's another one. Michael's another one that he pays for his racing. So for me and him, he's car owner and sponsor. Same thing here. I'm car owner and sponsor, and it takes another pride with it too of being that. Me and him can burn this down right now and have nobody to answer to. And we take some serious pride in that. And you got a lot of people out there that are, I hate to say this, they're using soft hands just to get a ride, and that's just not us. We're going to come out there, we're going to have fun with it, and we are our own party.
Lap 10 of the figure 8, I'm drinking beer no matter what's going on.
Not before, though.
I don't drink beer before the figure 8. I never will.
So, after the race, and he's sitting on the front of the car, and Johnny, you walk over to Chad. What did you say to him right after that?
Told him to keep his head up. He did his job. There was nothing. you just got to keep your head up and get out. Even though it's just, then again, you're a minute or two after one of your probably biggest career wins, most top paying career win at that. But I just kept trying to tell him, you guys got to keep your head up. You gotta understand that, we came here. Our biggest goal was to finish. I mean, our biggest goal when we go to the racetrack is finish, keep tires on it, and and run top 5 if opportunity's there. But I walked up, I kind of hugged him, and dude, you didn't do nothing wrong. Could you have changed the outtake of the race by doing something different? Yeah, but you can't go back and redo it. And then I made sure I whispered in his ear and told him, be sure do not ask Donna to marry you. And,
Wow. I can't believe you just went there, Johnny. Donna, I apologize. Do you want
Why I
me?
don't come to the race
Do you,
garage.
do you want me to edit this
now the bad thing
podcast?
No.
Now I got to worry about the next time she cooks dinner here because I'll be the one.
Yeah, you'll get arsenic. She'll
get
put
that special
arsenic
sauce.
in
No,
it.
it's just one
Donna.
of those things, is to keep him positive, to keep the crew positive. If you dwell on negativity, you're going to live at negativity throughout the night. Well, I did not want negativity around my beer drinking time.
Hey, at least we didn't do a
and
Mark Martin.
I'm 100%. Yeah, I mean, that's just at the end of the day.
That'd be terrible.
You got Saturday night when the races were over with, and we loaded up. We came right back here Saturday night, cooked out on the grill. After the race was over with, we sat here and had some adult beverages and talked about some different things. And there was a lot of, well, if I'd have done this, or if I'd have done this, and it's like, what? We're here. Guys, you just got to be, keep the crew positive. When we come to work on the car, next, and we're gonna get together and get really humping on it for the next race, and it's still got, we'll have this conversation about what we could have done, what could have happened, and I'll be the same guy in the background saying, it's done and over with, guys. We can talk about it, but as long as we keep living in the past, we're gonna hold ourselves up. So now it's like, okay, we've done it, we've made our statement, we put our foot down, let's do it again. This time, let's do it a different way. Let's continue to do it.
Let's not be behind.
Yeah, so it's always a matter of just keeping him positive. You got to keep him positive, and you get a driver that beats up on himself for doing something that he really had no control over. And I've been in that, being a driver myself. I've been in that situation. Have I lost a race like that? Obviously not. But I've done things that way, and I know what my crew did to me. My crew. You just got to keep your driver. You got to keep his head in the game, and let him moan a little bit more in the situation a little bit. But he went down and talked to Buddy, and they had their one-on-one time. He come back and things was different. He seemed to be okay, and they talked it out. Say, you know what, we'll go get him again. I'm proud of you. That's the first thing you got to tell your driver, no matter what. A situation like that, you got to let your driver know that you're proud of him. He worked his tail off. He did everything and other things beyond what we talked about before the race started. He really showed me some of his self-control. Instead of just burning the tires off the race and sitting there, he was able I watched him run a guy down. Instead of attacking him to pass him, he just rode there for a couple laps, which honestly is kind of out of his driving style. His driving style is to catch that guy and pass him as fast as he can. Go to the next guy and pass him. Well, Saturday night he did a tremendous job of saving his tires, getting to that guy, letting that guy make his mistake and capitalize on that guy's mistake. And it was huge in my eyes to see him do that, because he became a smarter driver. Now he's starting to realize, I don't have to pass every car right at one time. I can just do it. So, when the race is over with, that's when I can just let him know, hey, dude, we're all proud of you. It doesn't matter. Just keep your head up. We're not giving up on you. Don't give up on us. There's plenty of races to come. So I really do look forward to the Jake's 150 coming up, in honor of, Jake Cohen. I really, obviously it's Father's Day weekend at that too. So I look at that race as a big one. and just building. You know, if we're this good now, hopefully we can continue to gradually get a little bit better and better and better, and come 3 hour, you know, where we need to be at.
Usually, what we will do for the 3 hour though is we'll take a couple of the races off, like three or four races off. That way, we can kind of save up for the 3 hour. Because I hate to say it, a 3 hour you kind of got to go in it on a pretty big budget to do it right. And you know, like he said, we got high hopes for it, and he takes care of me to make sure my head's held up, and so does some of the other crew guys, and just like, you know, same thing with Bub. You know, if something goes on, I let him kind of do what he needs to do to the cart, and above his head's down. There's been a couple times where, you know, what he does for me, go to him, and, you know, keep your head up no matter what. You know, just kind of, it's a teammate thing of, you know, when you're down, I pick you up, vice versa. And it's good to have stuff like that, because there ain't no sense of just being negative about it. Get a positive outcome is hopefully we take that Jake's 150.
So if you can win the Jake's 150, will this totally erase from your mind? No.
Race like that, a 1 hour race is any race in general. It could have been a 50 lapper, and the way that it happened, it will kind of always stick in your mind. I the very next morning I woke up, she looked over and she was like, "Are you crying?" And I was crying. I was in tears. But I was also more, like, I had Buddy message me. He messaged me. Murray, Buddy's car owner, messaged me. I have drivers that I look up to, and like when driving the car through the pits, it means so much to you, the people that you watch, you know, race with your dad. Like R.J. Norton and my dad, they would battle it out pretty good, but as older, you know, they became friends and stuff like that. But I've always been like a big R.J. Norton fan, and because R.J.'s very respectful, even for him to say, "Buddy, there ain't too many races where you can lock it down and say that was your race, but that was your race. It's just, what do you do?" That was his exact words. "What do you do now? You go out and win the next one." But it will always be there. And I hate to say it. I don't hate to say it, but I'm going to be the butt of that joke. And I'm okay with it. I'm all right with it because we're going to have fun.
The butt or the buddy of the joke?
I'm going to be the buddy of it. I'm going to be the butt.
It is.
Well, even let's jump way ahead. Let's say you're at the 3 hour, and maybe you win or finish in the top 5. Will making that more money in that race, will that wipe this Saturday night out of your head if that happens?
It'll make it feel better, but then, now I'm going to drop this back as the car owner. It would have made the 3 hours so much more, because winning a race like that, people step in, they want their name on the car. Well, their name being on the car helps me get parts. And I'm the type that I don't, and she gets on to me for this, I don't ask for money. I'll tell you what I need. And that way you know where the money's going. It will help it, but then after, what, month, 2 months, I could have won the 1 hour and the 3 hour.
Oh, yeah.
Has anybody, I think Jack and Mike.
They won it the same year they won the 3 hour.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Mike St. John and Jack Dawsey, and I could be wrong on this, and I think Bruce.
I'm sure Bruce done it. Yeah, Bruce has won multiple. For sure Bruce has done it. Yeah, there's only been a handful of drivers maybe that's won the 1 hour and the 3 hour in the same year. So,
the same year.
Same year.
Yeah, so
And
that's big.
that's big.
That's huge. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like another big establishment is like I think about this as like Doug Gregg. Doug, I think like Doug Gregg is the only driver's one in every division.
He's raced in every division. Doug Graves raced at speedrun. I think he's won a championship.
That's talent.
Whether
You
it's
know,
the legend car, the
natural
Supercross,
born
the
talent
modifieds.
right there.
And one give big shout out to Doug. If you look at Doug and you get a chance to interview Doug, I mean, Doug does everything himself.
Everything?
Every bit of Doug's race car, motor, chassis, everything Doug does there. So that's huge to know that the commitment he has to do it all himself. One reasoning is, I grew up watching Doug, is they save money doing it themselves. They didn't have to pay somebody else to do it. They did it, and Doug's dad, was the big motor guy at the time. Doug built chassis. I built the chassis with Doug sometimes. So, I mean, Doug is, I hate to say it, but there'll never be a Doug Gregg at the racetrack other than Doug. Doug has done some tremendous things behind the wheel of a race car.
Didn't he? Was it last year, the year before? Doug went over 10,000 laps.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, he hit 10,000 laps.
A little over 10,000 laps just in a 3-hour race.
Just in that.
Just in a 3-hour. He's the only driver that went over 10,000, completed over 10,000 laps.
And that's huge.
And that was in 2000, was it 20? 2020, yeah. Because he had actually broke a shock on the right front of his car, and we had blowed a motor and was sitting out of the race. He come in and broke the shock, and they was trying to figure out how to put a shock and a spring and all that stuff together to put on a car.
Whoa, he just, Doug's equipment, he damn near doesn't bring any spare parts because Doug's easy on equipment.
Yeah.
And Doug Gregg's one of them drivers where, let's just say, for whatever reason, you're not having a good night, but you're still on that good finish. Doug is one of them guys you find. Doug finishes. I think him and Tim Lowe are having a meeting right now about finishing. But he came in, broke the shock, and we had one of our spares just kind of sitting. And
I knew what 10,000 laps meant to him.
Yeah.
And I know what it meant to me to watch him do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew what it meant to the crowd and the fans to see that
somebody actually.
Doug, how do I say this? When Doug started figure eight racing, he'd half track Doug. I mean, he would literally pull the crossover and do a half lap, and that's the way Doug started. And then see what he's done now, and to really look back, those half laps don't even matter.
A half lap, is that when the Sloans go into the... Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to say that as in a bad
Doug
derogatory.
When Doug first started racing, Doug did that. He came out of street stocks, went and figure out cars. He did that. But now to look at what he's done and he's accomplished, that doesn't even matter. A lot of people don't. It just so happens I seen Doug do that. I was a kid in the stands. I was the kid that was a racer at heart. Then I got the opportunity, because Doug's shop was down the street from my dad's, and I got the opportunity to work with Doug. And a lot of stuff that I do know, sheet metal work, chassis, I learned that from Doug watching him. And on that night when that happened, I knew what 10,000 laps meant. And so, as soon as I went down there and helped Charlie Potts and them guys, they had a shock tore apart, and I ran right down to ours. And I don't even think Chad was at the trailer. I think Chad was up watching the race. And I just ran over and grabbed our shock and spring stuck on the car. And, they're looking at me. I'm like, just go. And, I walked up to the fence, looked at Chad, and said, hey, Doug's got one of our shocks and springs on the car. Like, okay. And he went out there and he finished the race. He did his accomplishment, his goal or whatever. And it's cool to see things like that matters when there is opportunity to help somebody.
And we're really big on that. Is we will help anybody as long as we feel you would do the same for us. And honestly, sometimes we've helped to, what would you call it? be an icebreaker.
Yeah, I mean, you have that the guy you have an issue with the track. You know, not everybody always gets along and all that stuff. Then eventually, you know, you gotta let bygones be bygones, and you gotta reach out and help that guy. You know, you don't want a racer to not come back because he felt he wasn't getting help from other racers. And you want to keep the sport going. You see a guy struggling over there, go over and help him. I mean, there's been times where Chad's been on track racing, 3 hour, for instance. He's been out there racing, and I see somebody pit that don't have very much help, and I ran back there and pitted for him.
Casey White and then when I got hit the crossover, we kind of, I forget necessarily what they needed, but we helped them and everything. And hell, I actually got scars from nothing serious, just burning myself on his rotor, and it was the fact of I've watched Casey or Quentin grow up, good talented kid, and Casey, his dad, has always been really nice to me, and like a really good friend. And as racers, me and him, and me and Quentin, we've had run-ins, but next week everything's fine. But like he said, you still want to see your buddies. And I hate to say this, even if let's say if you don't like the person, as a racer, you know what it's like to pull off and not have that part. And it sucks. So, hey man, throw this on and go. And try to get what you can get.
It kind of mends a relationship. It gets it back into where it should be at. It's some people let things slide out too long, and then by the time it is trying to fix a friendship, then it's a little too late. There's times where you've just got to look at people and say, you know what, that guy needs this. What's it going to hurt to loan him a $10 part? What's it going to hurt to just in the karting world, with him racing, I've loaned parts out to karters and got beat by him. And then when Samantha, I tell Samantha, well, I loaned that guy our backup motor and he won, we got second. Well, why'd you do that for? Why would you loan it to a competitor? Well, he wasn't going to race if we didn't do it. So
we gave it to Morpho, he blew up.
We did it in the junior class. We did it to a guy that didn't have a spare motor. They blowed up in practice. And we was battling with them for the championship. And they blowed up in practice, didn't have a spare motor.
And it's the point of...
I ran up there and got our motor.
Yeah.
Well, besides the friendship thing, you don't want to win a race and know you wasn't that top dog that night.
Mm-hmm.
That does fall into it, a little bit, is you want...
You want to give that guy a chance to battle with you.
Yeah.
So if you go out there, if you see your competitor that you're battling with in points is broke, and you have the part to fix his car, and you don't do it, in a way, does that make you a scumbag? Does that make you a bad person because you didn't help this guy? So it's always nice just to, know if that guy needs a part and you got it. Our biggest thing is, and I do it in this thing too, being crew chief on it for him, is if we have heat races that night, we're going to wait till after the heat race to loan a part out. That way, if something happens to us in the heat race, we still have a part. We still have that part. But if we loan it out before the heat race, then we have to go ask that part back. Just for instance, in Florida this year, Ben built a brand new motor with the Florida, took his backup motor to Florida with him for a spare. Already blowed up.
Mm-hmm.
So Ben loaned Artie his motor, his backup motor. The next practice session, Ben blows up. So then Ben had to go back to Artie and get his motor back. And
Is that your kids?
That's my oldest daughter right there. You want to be on camera?
Have her come over here.
You want to be on camera? No?
Don't worry, Donna didn't have
did.
her eyebrows.
Donna got on camera. Donna was on candid camera.
Who can see it?
Everybody?
Everybody, once I get this uploaded,
It's on
when I get
Facebook.
home.
Girl, if I had to, you have to. You better get in here and tell mine.
Okay.
You better tell me
You're fine.
the attitude behind the car.
That's my oldest daughter there.
Literally, I see some some attitude behind that car. Come up here.
Welcome to the ghetto.
Yeah.
Rat-a-ta-ta. Come over here, moneybags.
So yeah, it's always different. They borrowed motor. Then who did Artie end up getting the motor off of this? Anyways, they said they
Doodle.
loaned Doodle. Yeah, damn it, Doodle.
And here's the thing about Doodle. Doodle is a good driver. He is a little wild, but Doodle's new to this figure eight.
Not anymore. It's been years. He's not a rookie no more.
It's only been like 3, 4.
But it sounds like if he needs a part or something, he'll give it up
Oh, yeah.
for other people.
Doodle's a great guy. Doodle will. We put Chad in his car last year in practice, and that's where we felt comfortable down there trying to help him. What it could be, and Chad come in and told us some things, and Doodle said some things, and so that's the biggest thing is getting the racers to be racers again. And
Oh, I thought you were going to make another comment, Donna.
she's gotta go find her eyelashes. So you gotta get the racers to be racers and be friends. And
And Doodle, honestly, Doodle and Scott and Tommy, they're probably one of the best souls there.
Meaning Tommy St. John?
No, Tommy Wright.
yeah.
Oh.
And he is. I think Tommy's only 21. He builds the chassis and everything. And Scott is dad. Him and Doodle fund the racing and everything, and they're doing it for the passion of the racing. And man, I'll tell you this: I don't care who it is. If you're battling for points and he's there, he'll get out of his car just so
You can compete still.
yeah you can compete.
Yeah.
As long as he's not run for a championship, anything like that.
And how many other drivers out there would do that, Chad, out there right now?
Not many. I can name brothers that would tell each other no.
Would any of the Sportsdrome guys that you run with do that?
I think Buddy would.
Yeah, there's probably maybe a handful of
Artie?
drivers that would actually step out and let somebody else drive their car if need to.
Calvin, I would say Calvin.
I don't know.
Buddy.
I don't know if Calvin might.
I
But
think
I
if
say-
Calvin likes you, I went down there and talked to Calvin, and Calvin's gave me tips, as rookies, stuff like that. There's probably about 4 down there that would. I hate to say, or a couple years ago, Casey White was battling for. I don't know if it was for a championship, and I was willing to pull my motor out of my car for him. I know it was a good spot. I can't necessarily say what, but I hate to say this, and just as racers talk amongst the racers, a lot of people do not, care for Eddie. Eddie's one of them guys that will, if he likes you, he'll call you. What do you need? You can say, I don't have the money, and he'll say, I didn't ask you that. What do you need? But at the same time, he'll wreck his own car to win a race. It's just Eddie don't come for second. It ain't nothing personal. You just don't come for second.
And it gives him the right. If he owns the car, he's getting to rough it up even more.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I know when I raced for him in Florida, we had a team meeting, and it was, don't lay up just because I'm the car owner.
Drive it like it was yours.
Yeah, drive it like it's yours. But there's a handful. But like Austin, I bet like Austin's car's hurt pretty bad. I bet he finds a ride. Before the not this week.
No,
They race in 2 weeks.
Yeah, there's some 2 weeks to 50.
Not this weekend, the following.
I'd give Austin my car. If Austin needs, I know my car's a little older and outdated and all that stuff, and I think with a good set of shocks on it and some little fine tuning on it, I think it'd be a good car. And, I mean, there's certain drivers I'd put in certain cars, and certain drivers I wouldn't. You gotta understand the respect of that driver and what they, you know.
And not only that, they'll be in the garage helping you tear it down if something was to happen.
And that's a good thing. I mean, just hearing you guys talk about everybody's sharing parts and motors back there, that really makes this a racing fraternity. And quite frankly, I'm just blown away by that. That you're willing to take your motor out of your car that you spent who knows how much to put it together, put it in your car, and to yank it out for another driver to use what you put your blood, sweat, and tears in. To me, I mean, I get the whole racing, friendship, fraternity thing. It just blows me away. I'm just speechless about it. I don't know what to say.
And it's even more when you go out of town. Speedrome is still kind of, you still have your speedrome. Like, we go to Jeffersonville, we all know that we're not 5 minutes from our house. We can't run home and grab a part. It's like you're in Jeffersonville and you need something, you bet your ass somebody's going to have it there, and more likely they're going to give it to you.
Prime example, Kevin Garrigus, when he was a car owner, Corey Harmon blew a motor in, was it Washington?
Have in California.
Okay, California. They loaned Corey, a motor, thousands of however many miles it is. We all try to watch out for one another.
And it goes outside of speedrome. Just for instance, Monday we went to Circle City to the dirt track, and Casey and Quentin was there with their dirt cars. Brayton Laster was there. He's a speedromer. Jesse Tunney was there, and a lot of speedromers go just to do it. But at the same time, you see a speedrome guy over there, the love comes from speedrome, and it'll follow that guy to a different track. For instance, I got there and I was just walking through the pits, and I seen Jesse's car sitting there, and they was calling for his heat race, and his car was still up on jacks, rear tires was off of it and stuff, and I was just kind of like walked through there. I was talking to Ryan, his crew chief, and they was trying to hurry and get tires put on the car and all that stuff. And I didn't have no problem. I walked over there and told Jesse, I said, what can I do? A tire needs to be put on it. So then, I kind of helped him put a tire on it. And you look down the pits and you see Casey White and them guys down there. And Johnny was actually down there helping Casey White. Just kind of, you see the speedromers there also. So, I mean, there's been times where I'm sure people have had problems on Saturday night at speedrome, but then go to the dirt track on Sunday. What do you need? I'm here. What do we got to do here? And it's pretty cool to see that, still happen for the most part. Then you have certain drivers that they don't give a shit who you are. They're not going to help you, and they don't expect your help.
But they're usually the first ones that, I hate to say this, that be an ass at the track or be the first one to cry on Facebook also.
Yeah.
But you get that at any track, any series, any division.
You got that's in everything. Hell, you can go to every daycare and find that.
Yeah.
But it's all for the love of it. I would like to see. That's one of my goals. Is I really want to get in a dirt car. I think I'm a better oval driver than a figure eight driver, and it's like on my wish list, on my bucket list. And then, get a couple dirt legends or dirt modifieds and turn loose.
Yeah.
Would have to cut your hair. That's 3/10 right there.
Yeah. Get some
What if that hair grows and gets down into his eyes? He won't be able to see what he's doing to help with the car.
He won't see me knock his head off his shoulders either.
Wow.
He don't have to do that.
We'll hold him down and cut his hair. I got a pair of snips over there. I will cut his hair.
Turning point.
Yeah. So you guys would have to come out and like 3 hour week or when we
Whole
start
weekend.
preparation, and just really see the preparation, and that's where I like to see a crew, like you come out and just, if you come out, spend an hour a night, just sit back and just watch the preparation that it takes for that one race. And you don't know how long that race is going to last. That's the thing, I mean, you look at 3 hours. You crash in 2 minutes. Do you spend 2 weeks thrashing and preparation for this race, and then 5 or 10? I mean, we lasted 6 minutes a couple years ago. Blowed a motor 6 minutes into the race.
I watched my dad take the green flag, and it was actually the guy next to us, and we were helping him. I was probably little Johnny's age. They took the green. They're coming in the pit turn. There was something that happened, and my dad's car jumped in not even a lap.
Yeah.
And it's happened. That's why, as racers, we always say, surviving the first 30 minutes of that race is. I'm not going to say you're not going to wreck later on, but if you can survive that first 30 minutes, first hour.
Yeah. I said 30. I always said 45 minutes. The way I looked at it is you got to make it through. Just drive. Try to stay on the lead lap. That's always the goal. But make it through the first 30 to 45 minutes of the race. Once you're through that, then you're going to race a pretty decent race. You're going to be in sync, and you're going to run your race a little bit of a higher speed. And then with about 30 minutes to go, you got to turn the wick up. And some drivers different ways. Some drivers want to gun hole from the get go and just hope for the best. Some guys lay back and then they get themselves down a couple of laps, and then that's always hard to make up.
Like Jack was gun ho from green flag.
Yeah, Jack was always green flag come out. Jack was gone. Wayne was the same way. Kenny was the same way. They wanted to pace the field because they felt that they was in control when they was pacing the field. You want to race, you're gonna race my speed. Instead, but I've also seen Jack. I want to say it was a 98 3-hour. Blowed a motor the last practice session right before the race, and so Ed Bishop owned Bruce Honey's car and Jack's car, same year, and they're there for a while, I guess. But it was a 98. Jack blowed a motor in practice right before the race started, and the only motor they had to put in the car was the motor Bruce had just pulled out of his car. And Bruce had switched motors for a 3-hour, and Bruce's motor that he'd ran all season was sitting on the floor. So Ed told Jack, "Go get that motor and put it in your car." Jack showed up. Jack sat on the pole. Jack got back to the track during driver's introductions, and as they pushed his car on the track,
Is that the one with the big long road with the number 2?
As they pushed him on the track, still buttoning up the motor, they was pretty much calling his name out for being on the pole. The race started. He gun-holed it like usual. I want to say it wasn't a couple minutes into the race. He had a flat tire. He came in and pitted, and they put a tire on. He was down laps. And then I think at one time, I want to say he was down 5 or 6 laps, 7 laps. And he just never quit marching. I mean, he was on attack mode the whole time and come back and won. And it was I remember it just because of all of the hurdles that he went through that day, and then again, that's another loaning parts out to another guy. Then this guy goes out and wins the 3-hour with your motor. When Bobby Dalfett won the 3-hour, Bobby Dalfett had just actually bought the car off of Billy Skiles. Billy Skiles had owned the car, and Bobby had drove for him. And I think Billy was getting out of racing or whatever the situation there was, but Bobby was buying the car from Billy. And then he didn't have a motor. So then Bobby ended up getting a motor off Joe Carlton, which was a racer that he was an average racer, but never ran a 3-hour. Never did all that stuff. And Joe always had decent motors and stuff. And he loaned Bobby his motor. I don't know if he loaned it to him or sold it to him or whatever the case was. Bobby ended up with Joe Carlton's motor. And won it was a 25th anniversary 3-hour. Paid $25,000 to win. And pretty much he borrowed him. I wouldn't say he borrowed the motor. I mean, he borrowed parts. Won $25,000. So I think it's a big thing about loaning parts and getting parts and racers being racers. And because if we don't help each other out, it's going to die. It's going to die. The class is going to die out, and people.
Do you think that's because you guys all know how expensive it is, and how hard it is, to put these together and still put food on the table sometimes? Is that why? Because they know how much you're spending, that they're willing to help. Is that it?
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, it's, but they know, when you get to the racetrack, who you can count on, who you can't count on, who your buddies are. For instance, we pit beside Steve Durham and Donnie Murphy, so it's kind of a teammate thing in a way. Even though we're, if you want to say teammates, not teammates, we're friends. We're close friends. Steve pits, I'll run back here. Donnie pits, I'll run back here. I went to Donnie a couple weeks ago. We wasn't even running. He was running. Oh no, I don't think he was running. We was just there to watch. And I seen some issues with Donnie's car, during practice. And I walked over and talked to Donnie and said, "Hey, man, it's always about, loaning yourself out to somebody else. If you see somebody having a problem,
it's a racing family.
Yeah. And it needs to. And some of it's kind of gotten away from that, because some people have the mentality of the hell with them. They'll get it figured out. At the same time, you sit back and you look at it, why don't you help that guy? For instance, Saturday night, I don't know if this was, I don't know if it was brought up or if it was seen. People know. Saturday night, I think it's Anthony Sloan that drives a 32 car now.
Anthony?
Yeah. Well, right before, they was like the last alternates. Well, right before he had to go out, he kind of got nervous and backed out because he never ran a 1 hour. He's only 16. Never ran a 1 hour, so he kind of backed out and didn't want to do it. Well, that means that car didn't make no money. That means they was out their money. So we found another driver in the pits and put him in that car, just so they could get their money. It wasn't a matter of this driver getting the money; it was a matter of that family getting the money.
That's amazing.
Then again, it's not about you looking at it and knowing certain racers race to have fun and win as much money as they can. Other racers race to win. So you gotta look at the Salones. I've raced against them, known them forever. They're out there to race and have fun. And try to make a little bit of money. Everybody always wants to make a little bit of money. But when you see that car sitting there and that kid was a little upset and nervous about going out on the track, it kind of makes you feel bad, because knowing that every little dollar they make helps. So then it was like, okay, who do we get it to put in it? And then we found a driver, put him in it, and he went out there and ran laps. The money didn't go to the driver, the money went back to them. Ray Master.
He passed himself.
Yeah, he beat himself.
And he started the race.
Yeah, he started the race in his car, and something broke or whatever, and he pitted. So then they went and go fix his car. So he ran over and was the last alternate, and did enough laps in the alternate car. They beat himself. And so it was kind of, and like I said, it was one of those things where you look at that car sitting there, knowing that, I think $250 it started, whatever it paid to start the race.
I think 400.
400. So that every dollar that they need, they want, that's part of them.
And that actually helps them out pretty good.
Yeah. So it was like, what? They come over and ask me to get in it. Well, I didn't have a uniform or something like that. I'd have probably got in it and ran a handful of laps and
But
parked
I
it.
would have hit you just as hard as I did, buddy.
I'd have spun you too.
Wow.
But I didn't have a uniform or nothing, so we went looking, walking through the pits, and just so happened Bart Mann's boy had crashed out, and
You mean you couldn't get in his
I
uniform?
ain't doing all that.
So wait a minute. Somebody borrowed a uniform?
No, they was trying. I was gonna. They were trying to get me to borrow a uniform to race.
Okay.
Well, I didn't. I just didn't want to do it. I had my kids and stuff like that, and I mean, I'd love to help the family out, but it was like, so Bartman, boy, Braden Laster had already crashed out or broke out or something like that. So we ended up putting him in the car. So,
In the slow car.
in the slow
Oh,
car.
okay.
But he had raced enough, so he did enough laps in his car
To make the money.
to do his thing, but then his car broke, so he couldn't continue no more. So then he come in and he got in Sloan's car and went out and did enough laps in Sloan's car that he passed himself
Gotcha.
in their car. So
Now I
So
understand.
it was a fact of just that's part of it needed to be done. And so you found a driver, you put him in there, you help the family out.
You know what? I don't mean to stop you, but when you just said that, remember the other night when we were talking about Corey Turner, and that really resonates, that story with me. And you said it needed to be done, and you said that. That throws my mind back to, I'm not trying to change the subject, but to what you did for Corey Turner and his family, for what all you guys did, pitching in and getting that car done. That was I just can't believe you just said that again. And now, only difference is, I have it on video now, you saying that. Go ahead.
It's all about, I mean, it has to be done. There's no...
You got to treat each other like family at the end of the day. With it.
You look at things and you know that anything you can do to help out another family, or another racing team. And I hate to say this in a negative way, or not like X is really not, but some of the teams are lower funded than what we are. I consider us a pretty low funded team, and we put our heart and soul into it and all that stuff is just as much as others do. And then you have your well-off teams, I guess you say, and then you have your teams that's bottom of the barrel, I guess if that's how you want to say it. So you've got to look at every team. It's not a matter of, well, I'm not going to mess with them because they brought their car in here on a open trailer on the back of an old pickup truck. Well, guess what? At the end of the day, he's a racer. He's there doing the same thing you're doing, so you've got to help him. Because eventually, if he doesn't get help, he's going to quit. And
Then your car counts, and your division's going to go.
Right now, whether it's a competitive car or it's a field filler, they need to be there. They have to be there. It doesn't matter. You've got to make sure that they're there. So, anytime you see somebody that needs help, loan them apart.
That's something we're really, really, really big with. It is like helping each other. Like even to deal with the Corey situation, we were supposed to be out 2 weeks. Yeah,
we was actually, like I told you the other night, we had Chad's car here, getting it ready to run, and when it came down to it, with obviously Corey, a family member of mine, and
it wasn't even a question to ask.
Soon as Danny mentioned it, the car being at the showing, there was no hesitation. It was just like I instantly got on my phone and just started text messaging and started calling people that I knew that I could count on. Then they reached out to people. Then they reached out to people. Then they reached out to people, and we literally got Chad's car out of the way. I mean, it was. There was never a question asked of why.
Honestly, it was just kind of a kind of like a thought, and then it was kind of like a look and a nod, and you both knew what the game plan was without saying.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, just like in basketball, you can look over at, your teammate, and you know what the next play is without even, saying what it is. And Corey was a part of everybody's life, and it's we kind of did a little throwback for him, with the last year's car. And I mean, honestly, if you want to say it, this is
the black and silver.
Yeah.
What did you, when you say throwback, what did you do to make it like Corey's car? For people that aren't out there every week.
Silver and black.
Oh, silver and black.
Yeah, so our car was always our cars have always been either red and purple or black and red. And then last year we wanted to do something different. Silver. Corey's car was silver and black, same way this one is pretty much this year. And at first people didn't really like what we was doing. We was talking about different colors, and we decided to go silver. So we left the decking black, and we just did it. We went into function. I built the body silver. We called Stevie. Kind of gave Stevie some ideas of what we wanted. And when it was all said and done, the car was done. I don't think people really still looked at it that way. They looked at it some other optional ways. We didn't do it exactly like Corey's, but every color, the orange and the silver. Chad's cars have always been purple and red and black, and so then we did it silver and stuff, and it was all said and done. And I felt that it was there to where somebody could actually relax and look at it. I brought my wife out here and Johnny and me and Chad, and I said, "Now guys, look at that car and tell me what it's about." We're all kind of looking at it and this and that. And I said, "Just look at it, and really look at it." And when it came down to it, it was, you guys look, it's Corey's car, and it made a big deal. It surprised a lot of people when they seen it. Then we had the big 00 stickers that we stuck on the wing with the wings on it. That was something nobody knew about but me. I had those stickers made in Seattle, Washington,
Right.
and flew.
Yeah,
they was flown here with some friends from Seattle, and Chad didn't know about it. Nobody else knew about it but me. And there was a spot on the car that was open. We didn't have a sponsor, and I had them made just for that sponsor or that area. And they got brought to me in the track, and I opened them up and I stuck them on the car pretty much before anybody ever seen it. And it got emotional. And
10 minutes before the race actually started.
the black and the silver just stuck with us. And we started redoing the car for this year, and we got the red sheet metal back there. I thought we was going back black and red. We was save a little bit of money, and I like red race cars, and he likes red race cars, and the more we talked, the more the silver got brought up. Staying with silver. And I was like,
we actually didn't know. Well, week and a half before the 1 hour, what color we were going to go.
Yeah.
We knew black was going to be in the picture, but we didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't know if it was going to be silver, if it was going to be red,
Yellow.
We talked about yellow. We talked about purple. I mean, we ran 100 different schemes, and then it was just for some reason we kept going back to silver.
It got to a point where we were saying Carl something, and he said, "Dude, I don't even want to see no more pictures."
We're tired of looking at different cars.
Yeah.
So we're like, you know what? Just me and him talked, and I was like, let's stick with silver. And what was crazy is, even though how bad the car was from Florida, beat up it was, a lot of like the hood pieces and the nose pieces and stuff like that was salvageable. Well, instead of we just tore it apart because we wasn't planning on going back to silver. So we took everything off and threw it away. The next thing I know, we started going back to silver, and I looked at Chad. I was like, we just throwed half of a good body away. Yeah, so I mean, we went back to silver. We put the orange on it with a little bit of purple in it. Kind of broke it up a little bit, but kind of kept it as the Corey thing. I mean, just you got to pay your respects. We just talked about Sunday at the 500. We was talking to Dylan Dalfett about some things for the 3 hour. He kind of wants to do a deal, wants us to do it with him. I'm going to talk to some other drivers about doing it on their cars and maybe do a throwback year. I think it'd be cool to see a lot of drivers do a throwback of somebody else's car. Just like NASCAR. Yeah, just like NASCAR does at Darlington and stuff like that. I mean, everybody puts a new body on their car. So I think it'd be, me and Dylan and him and Bobby Dalfett Jr. was talking about just doing something. I mean, Dylan's car now looks like his dad's cars. They always did, but there's other cars his dad had that he's talked about doing. About changing his colors up and all that stuff. And so we kind of did a handshake the other day about us doing a throwback for the 3 hour. And what colors we was going to go. But I think it would be cool to get, Hadley did a throwback to Wayne Arnold I think it was 2 years ago.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I think we had the cool one with Jack.
Yeah, we did.
All red.
Yeah, we did a throwback for Jack Dawsey for his Hall of Fame night, which
Yeah.
I really liked. That car really came out. And Jack's car, I always liked that car when Jack had it. So then when we did it that year, it kind of stuck with us.
And honestly, Jack is somebody that you don't surprise. You do not surprise him. And I figured he would think it was pretty cool. But what was cool to me was besides he jumped my car and did some laps in it, just like a victory lap, nothing like special. But at the end of the night, his boy Little Jack, which contacted us and asked would we do it. And Jack really helped me when I was in my beginning stage of being a figure eight driver. He would hand me his tires that he used. I went 2 years before I ever put a brand new set of tires on. I couldn't afford it. But then I started knocking off a little bit good finishes to a point where I could buy 2 tires with the winnings, and then somebody would sponsor 2 more. His son came up to me and he was like, dude, that was cool. I kind of wish, I videoed Dad. And I was like, well, what was his impression when he first seen it? And he said that they were sitting up there, and Little Jack knew when I was coming out, because we tried to. I just told him the second practice session, that's when we're going to come out. And we even put it on Facebook. Do not post pictures.
Oh, so you can unveil them all.
Yeah, we wanted him
at
to
the
see,
track.
Yeah.
Well, we knew we would practice, and we didn't want him seeing the car, so we put on Facebook. Please do not share pictures of the car until the Hall of Fame, and that's all we put. Nobody. That's surprising. Nobody shared nothing. Well, coming out the gate, Little Jack said that they were sitting there talking, and Little Jack made sure he had his attention, Big Jack's attention on the track. And Jack was looking, he turned around and double looked. And even down Little Jack, it didn't bring like a tear to his eye, but, it double took, it shocked him, and he was proud of that. And so if anybody knows Jack Dawsey, he's the man when it comes to figure eight racing. Nothing against, Mike St. John, Kenny St. John, nothing like that. But he's one of the guys that you want to be labeled next to.
Yeah, I mean, if you can
Make your name up there with.
Yeah, if you can get the same category as Jack.
He's one of the measuring sticks.
Yeah, I mean, you can't take nothing away from the guy. I mean, the guy did everything and did it. I mean,